Hello and welcome to this episode of Our Partner, Our Pride. My guest today is someone who has lived through Moore's Law, watching computing power double, chips shrink in size, and possibilities, boom, explode. For the uninitiated, Moore's Law is a simple yet powerful idea that roughly about every couple of years, the number of transistors on a chip double. No wonder that phone in your pocket is probably more powerful than the computer that sent humans to moon. Professor Manoj Choudhary has seen this transformation up close. As a senior technologist at Samsung R&D, he helped build world's first 5G chip and the 108 megapixel smartphone camera. He then became a professor and dean at IIT Jodhpur. And today, he is the founding Vice-Chancellor of Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya, trying to bring in that exponential mindset of Moore's Law to education. In this conversation, we are going to talk about his journey, his vision for Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya, the future of transport and logistics, and of course, bridging the gap between academia and industry. All of this, stay tuned. Hello and welcome on board, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
So, you have been a technologist, a researcher, and now a professor who is trying to build an academia, an institution all from scratch. Tell us more about your journey.
I have been a student all my life and I am a teacher at heart. Therefore, after my PhD from IIT Kanpur, I worked in technology industry for 21 years, mostly in the roles related to advanced research and new product development.
Must say, an extremely fascinating mix of experiences, sir, from lab to the boardroom and back to the classroom for such a unique institution as Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya. I want to understand what are the challenges, what are the national level problems probably that this institution and your team is trying to solve.
Our national highway is growing at a rate of 35 kilometers a day. Our number of airports doubling from 74 10 years back, 11 years back now to 162 plus. Now more than 5 lakh passengers take air travel every day. On the other hand, 2 crore passengers take Indian Railways travel every day. So there is a great expansion that is happening. In order that this infrastructure development is created with customer point of view, that is one side. The second side is once the infrastructure is created, how do we improve logistics in India, which is so much needed for manufacturing operations, which is so much needed to make our farming sector more efficient, which is needed for our day-to-day job. With that, there is a great demand in India that this entire infrastructure in transportation logistics sector, there was no dedicated institute or university in India. While we have 23 IITs, 21 IIMs or 32 NITs and 1200 universities, there was a need felt that with such a large sector and PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan, which is single biggest national master plan after our independence, roughly of the size of 1.2 trillion US dollar, we need to have specialized, dedicated, superior human resources to develop this sector as we proceed toward Viksit Bharat. And I think that is a very, very big mandate and most unique approach in whole of India, that now we are approaching the problems of the sector through a sector-focused university.
Don't you think there is a gap between what is taught in the classrooms on one hand and what the industry actually needs? And I believe somewhere this institution is also trying to bridge the gap.
I think the simple answer to your question is two people do not understand each other's expectations if they do not talk to each other, right? If industry do not tell what they need, if academia does not listen what is needed by industry, there is no way you can say that what industry needs and what academia produces, there is a gap. Therefore, our university offers a whiteboard to the industry that you tell us what kind of graduates you will need as your future employees, and we will produce that. But it is not a giver-taker approach. That is, it is not that you prescribe. It is an approach that is of co-creation and co-development. Industry not only tells us what to teach, but industry significantly participates in us through the entire learning process. How to teach? A large number of our faculty members are industry experts. So while our regular faculty members who all have good degrees from IITs and NITs, they take the theoretical courses, all sector-related courses are taught by industry experts. Further, our university has inbuilt methods of practical immersion through mandatory summer internship program that university organizes in support with industry, and we have several industry certificate programs. An example of that is, though we are too new, we are still 3 years old. This year, out of 194 students who graduated in the third convocation, we had an outstanding 91% of placement.
We often see students studying electrical and getting placed in IT industry. Do you think it is lack of opportunities? And coming to the question in particular is, when you have an institution that is industry driven like Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya, what are the tangible aspects for students? Is it just internships? Is it research papers? What is it that we are talking about?
So firstly and the foremost, Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya is an university that focuses on applied education and research. That is the first and the foremost points. An example, if I have to give, we are a university that have a center of excellence set up by the Railway Board in bridge. So you not only think about new bridges to be designed, but you look at they are supposed to last 100 years or more. On the other side, our students are well trained in railway signaling systems, European train control systems, Kavach, and so on. Therefore, by focusing on the applied education research, we are able to look at the industry problem, and when our industry experts come and teach in the classrooms, of course, they take many examples of the industry use cases.
So recently, Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya had inked an MOU with Jindal Stainless. Taking it forward, we want to understand, where do you think stainless steel is going to have an impact in particularly transport and logistics sector?
Stainless steel, as we all know, Jindal is the leader in that. It is one of the very important material in terms of construction of transportation, whether in railways or airports or everywhere. And therefore, when we look at the infrastructure segment, we look from end to end. How do we construct, how do we maintain, what is the end life cycle, and so on. In future, as you know, in transportation sector or in any other sector, we are always looking for upgradation in technology. For example, we want to build newer vehicles which are supposed to long last, which are much more greener in nature, environment friendly, which are much more lighter so that they consume lesser fuel. And I think this is the joint research that we shall do. So therefore, it is a completely win-win situation on both sides.
Where do you think is transportation and logistics sector heading? What would be the impact? Because as you said, the choices we make today is going to build the future tomorrow.
It is, so when we build the new transport systems, the physical infrastructure, if I have to say, it is not only to connect people, connect cities, but it is a new way of living. Let us take an example of the bullet train project. Between Ahmedabad and Mumbai, it is not merely an issue of 508 kilometers that can be traversed faster. But assume a city like Mumbai, where there are a lot of people, real estate is costly, and commute times are higher. And though there are many opportunities, people want to live there, but it is very difficult to live. Assume we have a bullet train project, and within 1 hour of the daily commute, you are able to go to Mumbai in morning and come back from Mumbai. It opens up a new era of economic corridors, new possibilities of how people live, how people travel. Similarly, in terms of freight transportation, How can we move things faster? Vegetables and many of the perishable products ends up getting destroyed because we cannot move them fast enough. But if the transportation and logistics sector is more efficient, we can do that.
I want to bring this conversation back to the person who is at the center of this all. That's you. Let's say a student passes out of Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya today. What do you think 20 years hence, what is he going to talk about his alma mater to his peers, to his children? What is this legacy that you hope to leave behind?
I believe that in 2047, almost every organization or company related to transportation and logistics shall be headed by the alumni of Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya. Number one. Number two, I strongly believe the university is not about merely buildings, classrooms and so on. That is the body of the university. But the soul is in the culture of the university, a university that focuses on inquisitiveness, creativity, curiosity. Therefore, we believe we have a tremendous responsibility, mandate and obligation to contribute to national development through this mission. And we believe that this is something which is very, very unique in this university, that apart from regular education program, there is a big focus on training officers who are already working in the field and upskilling and reskilling them to face the future challenges of 21st century country.
It was such a pleasure learning about your journey, your vision, how Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya is contributing to nation building. One takeaway for us is that this is not just an educational setup. This is something you're preparing students for a future that we can barely imagine at this point.
Thank you. So Gati Shakti Vishwavidyalaya shall provide both the Gati and Shakti to the aspirations of our country to become Viksit Bharat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.